are live. Hello, everybody. Today, I am going to be speaking to the amazing Lucy Sheridan-Wightman. Lucy is somebody who I came across on the internet. I was actually looking for somebody to help me in my business and mentor me. And there was something really, really kind of bright and shiny about Lucy. I can't describe it except for the fact that when I spoke to her for the first time, we had so much in common. And there was just a little spark in her that made me think, you know what, this is the right person. And she's such a caring, heartfelt person. And it just came across the first conversation that we had. And I think everybody in the SG Careers and Job Coach tribe who's watching today, we can all learn so much because we all, as women, let's be honest, we have a tendency to compare, to bitch, to moan about each other. And I think what I really, really loved about Lucy is that when we're going through that self-sabotage, when we're always, being hard on ourselves, we don't look at what's already good in us. She's actually taught me a lot about how to like myself a little bit better, and that's something that I am so thankful for. Thank you so much, Lucy. But without further ado, let me introduce you to the amazing Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, everyone. Soma, I don't know if you haven't told your tribe I'm from Leeds and you haven't got any subtitles for me.
You don't need subtitles.
I'm super, super delighted to be here. Thank you for such a touching introduction. I am absolutely honoured to be here, Soma. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, well, you really have taught me a lot. And I think so many people can learn so much from you. But for people who don't know about you and Proof Coaching, which is your company, tell us a little bit more. I mean, who is Lucy? I'd love to know.
So I'm Lucy, and as kind of Soma highlighted, so my business is called Proof Coaching, and in other kind of circles on social media, I'm kind of known as the comparison girl. So I am someone who has been affected by comparison for most of my life, has a really difficult time with it, especially over the last 5 years or so, and it kind of became overwhelming for me, and I managed to get myself out of it, but we still had a few scars, and just realised that this comparison topic isn't kind of something we're making up. It is actually prevalent now that we live in this digital age and this age of social media, and actually we need help dealing with the effects of it rather than being like fobbing them off or just going offline, because that's not going to get us anywhere. So for me, I would say that I'm Lucy, I'm the comparison girl.
So I mean, that kind of links in a little bit with the fact that, would you say that your mission in the world is to help everybody see what being comparison free? Is that your mission? And if it is your mission, why?
Yeah, I kind of like to think about it. I like to move people from compare and despair to comparison free.
Okay.
It's recognizing that you might compare yourself at the start, understanding how that can have some pretty awful implications for your self-esteem, your relationships with yourself and others. Recognize there is a way out of it, and it does take a little bit of work, but it is possible, so that you can actually get to a place where you can notice what the people are doing, but like a wave, it just kind of flows over you. It doesn't kind of stifle you or leave you in a fit of jealousy, or affect your relationships, or stop you from taking action and not feeling good enough as well, which doesn't get us anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And why is that so important to you? I mean, you said already that you've kind of gone through a lot of comparison in your life, but why is it so important to you?
I really feel like it's almost a taboo. It's this kind of underground epidemic that people feel embarrassed to talk about, and kind of, it may be in kind of our culture, taught to, if you compare yourself to people will take to snap out of it, or they engage in the bitching with you. And there doesn't seem to be this third way, which I'm trying to introduce, which is notice what you notice and moving through it. I mean, why it's so important is that a lot of people suffer from comparison and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And when they're free from comparison, life is so different, life is so abundant, things are just calmer, and yet we don't understand sometimes how we can pull ourselves out of that comparison trap. Why it's got my focus is because I know this has been a case of teach what I've needed to learn. And if I can save anyone, the depression, the anxiety, the jealousy, the unhappiness, the despair, really, that I experienced when I was caught in the comparison trap, then I will do that, because I wasn't making those feelings up when I was experiencing them.
Yes.
It was very raw, it was emotional, and I had a bit of a breakdown. And I wouldn't have had such a breakdown if it hadn't have been for the level of comparison that I was, applying across my life. So for me, it's important, not just because I felt it personally and I know how to now come through it and want to help others do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something we need to start talking about.
Yes,
because
definitely.
It's not something that weak and feeble people, just experience. Everyone, I've been in board meetings with very, very powerful people, and they've talked about comparison. And I've been, in the pub with my mates, and lots of conversations like, well, I saw on Facebook, and we've been talking about comparison. So for me, it's something that doesn't matter who you are and what your background is, and what whether you're male, female, or where you live, that it's popping up more and more.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is obviously one of the things that when I saw you, I was like, you were so unique and you were different. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, I wouldn't say that you're really, really bold, but you're bold enough to be honest enough to talk about things that maybe people shy away from a little bit, because it's outside the box, isn't it, Lucy?
I guess it is.
A little bit.
I guess it is, and it's funny, and I hope this isn't jumping ahead too much, Sherry, because I'm sure you've got some very juicy questions for me, but it wasn't, comparison kind of chose me, not just because I remember when I was a little kid comparing, like, I wonder if my mum and dad love me as much as my brother now. When my brother was born when I was like 5, crazy, right through to like girls at school, and then in my career, there's lots of, like I say, comparison has been ever present for me. But when I started with my business, I noticed that actually when I spoke about comparison, there was a big spike in the conversation or the web traffic, and I realized actually I was given comparison to perhaps be the one that would take this by the horns. I don't like using language like that because it's combative, but that would take this and just unapologetically shine a light on it and bring people's focus to it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you've spoken about the foundations and how it's emerged, but how has it evolved? How has proof coaching evolved?
Yeah, it has definitely evolved, and I think it hopefully always will do, because I've always kind of liked challenger punk cult brands and cult businesses that stand for something strong, that do things a bit differently. So I'd like to think that I could emulate some of that, because what some people might know is that my previous day job was as a brand strategist. I still do brand strategy work, and my proof mentoring is part of that. Lucky enough to work with individuals such as yourself. Proof coaching started off by me wanting to turn what was kind of a hobby after a bit of training into a more serious practice. It kind of came out of the fact I left a job suddenly, worked a notice period, and I knew that I was called to set it up in whatever way I could. Proof coaching started off, and I was just talking about maybe getting people a work-life balance and helping them with their values and direction. And as part of that, blogging came up, and I recognized, it was when I was talking to people about my blogs, when I was talking about my comparison more, that, like I said, I was getting that traction. And I thought, well, hold on, this data, this insight is telling me something, I need to act on it. And then I kind of decided to kind of take the leap, I suppose, and turn proof coaching into the comparison company. And for me to kind of almost be, well, I started calling myself the comparison coach or the comparison girl, just to test actually what it would be like if I really just stood for this in a singular and apologetic way too. So proof coaching will be 2 years old in October.
Wow.
So it's only a young business, and a lot's happened. It's been a huge learning experience. It's been like going back to school, and I've learned such a lot. But one of the things I've kind of learned is that this comparison message, like I say, I think was kind of sent to me. The coaching business started off in a very general sense, but I recognized that where the traction was, where I was getting talked to, what people wanted to talk to me about was comparison. So I kind of decided to just give people what they wanted.
And does a lot of that emerge from social media as well?
I would say so, certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, as we kind of digital natives are online. We are online. We don't go online. We just are online all the time. And I think social media has never given us, we've never had more content to compare ourselves to. So, for example, back in the day, like our parents, if someone was doing really well or was like traveling first class to standard, you might hear about it at anecdote, maybe at a family party or like a seasonal get together. But once the anecdote was heard, it kind of dissipated. Now, kind of a look at my social media feeds, and I've got what someone had for lunch, then kind of Kim Kardashian posting a picture of her daughter, and then I've also got someone else who's on a luxury holiday, it looks like, from the feed. And I think when you're maybe not in a great place or you are taking interest in other people's lives, there is just so much to compare to. And sometimes you're like, I'm doing better than them, I can't believe they did that. And also it can be, oh goodness, they're so far ahead of me, or I wish that I could have that too. So I think social media really becomes a feeding frenzy of comparison, and I think that's why I kind of feel called to look at it even more now, because it's affecting so many people. Even you know, I've worked with some people that are a little bit older, and they're kind of talking about how like they're comparing like their grandchildren, you know. It's crazy because of what they see on Facebook, you know, comparing each other's children, and oh, my son's got a great job, my son's not got a great job. It's just bonkers how it's showing up. But social media just gives us all the content to feast on.
But it can be quite unhealthy, can't it?
Yeah, it can be. And the thing is, I don't necessarily advocate going on like a digital detox and going cold turkey. I think you've got to make your social media work for you. And I think that's where the power comes in. And the internet's supposed to be a fun place for us to hang out these days. And I think we forget that we can curate and select the content of what comes up on those feeds. And just as much as we invited it in, we can also, you know, choose again and maybe filter it out again, whether that's people we know, celebrities or brands. We've really got to kind of treat social media like our house party, I think. You know, you would only invite the most cool, fun, connected people that you know, that people that you're connected to, that would really embrace the party atmosphere and like bring a good vibe. You wouldn't kind of invite people you didn't like to kind of sit in your kitchen and drink all your beer and like be aloof or like taking selfies all the time. If that irritates you, I love taking selfies, so I'm not going to apologize for that. All I'm saying is that we have the power to make our social media feeds a fun place to hang out. It's time we took the power back.
No,
just going offline isn't going to work.
No, but we all have to have an online presence in some way or another, don't we? We can't just disappear, can we? Especially us people who have our own businesses, who want people to see us. And
that's where the rub is. I know lots of people that are taking themselves off Facebook and taking themselves off social media channels, and I absolutely think if that works for you, that works for you. Go for it. And yet I think that is sometimes dealing with the symptoms, not the cause.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, so who would you say then, Lucy? Because you've spoken a lot about your journey with comparison and how proof coaching evolved and things like that. But who would you say inspires you?
Do you know, it's a funny one, because of course I'm kind of led to think, oh, I should totally say Oprah, because she's been on such an amazing journey. She was like born by a river, bare feet, you know, and she's now like a media mogul and a really soulful entrepreneur. Of late, more recently, I've become inspired by my peers and those, including you, that are walking their own path. Whether people know about it or not, they're walking their own path. Because when I see someone get up in the morning and do what they want to do, it gives me the strength to do the same, because it can be really isolating. And a lot of my friends don't get it. They're hugely supportive, they just don't get it.
No.
I think when it comes to who inspires me, I would say more often than not at the moment, I'm looking to my peers rather than looking ahead to a guru or a conventional kind of leader. Because I you know, I've loads of people I respect and admire for sure. Sophia Amoruso from you know, Nasty Gal, Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. There are lots of female idols that I have.
I love Florence and the Machine.
Hang out. So good, like the most amazing evocative music. She has a gift.
I was listening to her album the other day. She's really, really amazing.
It's so good, and like the messages in the music as well are really powerful. And I think when it comes to it today, it's more people that are just being brave on a daily basis, I guess. I can relate to keep me going as well, and that always give me fresh inspiration, you know, consistently day to day, rather than kind of someone writing an amazing book, which, you know, could be a whole other hangout on like, you know, people that I love and their content and stuff.
I mean, there's lots of things that we can take inspiration from, but I think it's sometimes it depends on what people are kind of drawn to. Because I remember speaking to someone about how we're all different, and one person will be drawn to maybe the girl boss lady that you're talking to, and other people will be drawn to Oprah. It's the personality thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think as well, it's we don't necessarily have to just go to people that have made it for inspiration. It might be people like are inspired by nature. They get
outdoors
when they're out. Yeah, exactly. They're animals that we love, like your cat Flower and my dog Rose.
Yeah,
we love them, don't we? And they inspire us and they calm us down. And they, being inspired doesn't have to be about aspiring. Like I want what she has. I want to get there. It can be about, oh my goodness, like I feel really present. I feel like I'm really realizing or having fun with this idea. That feels inspiring as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. But what would you say to someone who's really struggling in their work at the moment, and wants to change their job, wants to change their career, but fear coming in, and maybe they're comparing themselves to other people and they're thinking, oh, but if I leave this brilliant job that I've got, then I'm basically throwing everything away. What would you say to them?
Well, I can totally empathize with that mindset of feeling like you're throwing it all away, because I used to have it as well. Now I kind of think, believe and know that every experience I have has served me. And it's very rare in this market as well where something or a skill isn't transferable. Apart from, hey, maybe you've been a dentist for 20 years and you absolutely hate being a dentist. Sure, there are going to be some skills that you may not use that would be perfect to kind of stay in that profession, but there'll be other things you have like communication, organization, problem solving, which can be transferred to almost anywhere. And I think when it comes to people that are scared to leave a job, instead of looking at it as how do I get to this position, it's looking at what can I offer and what am I looking for, and how do I interpret that for someone so they can employ me. Because if like you want to be an accountant, you're a dentist, you apply for accountant, you're like, oh, this feels very dental kind of thing. But it's all about how you interpret the information for someone to help them consider who you are and what you're doing. And I'd also say that there's always a chance to pivot. So like I said, none of it's a waste of time. None of it is a waste of experience. What's really, really important is that you look at it that way and think, well, how do I use all this to propel me to where I want to be? Or what feels like even in temporary state is going to be more beneficial for me.
And I mean, obviously a lot of the people that I work with, I'm dealing with people who are really unhappy at work. I mean, what advice would you give to someone who was basically, as you mentioned, maybe was unhappy, like the dentist example, but perhaps they're used to that lifestyle and they don't want to leave that behind? What would you say to them?
I mean, you've got to look within for this. You've got to look within for this, because I'm on the other side of it. So I've made the jump. I left a role that was killing me inside, and I couldn't not take the jump. So you either want it or you don't want it. So if you don't want it, shut up. And if you do, find a way to make it work, because yes, it's scary, yes, it's difficult, but I'm speaking of someone that has done it, and it's every day that I live now is nowhere near as unpleasant or scary as when I was working for someone else that was like maybe a bully or difficult, or I was doing work I didn't enjoy and wasn't valued for in my perception. And it's a funny one, Sam, because I don't want to be like dismissive.
It's tricky.
You are in a state of fear, like what is keeping you there going to do? You must move through the fear to at least look at the options, because it's never too late. And we tell ourselves a lot of bullshit excuses about it being too late or that you can't do things. We never even try. And I am, and I say this a lot to you, don't I? I call myself the friendly pit bull. Like I'll never ever give someone a big teeing off, far from it. But some home truths are that it's possible to change your life. Like drop the mic. It's possible. You have it within you.
I agree with you.
And if you are really fearful or unhappy in your work, you've got to get out of there. Like it will kill you. It will make you ill.
It is going to make you ill.
Definitely. From your partner, it'll stop you meeting someone. It'll stop you from going on holidays you want to. And if that's all worth it, stay there. Brilliant, because you know your little comfort zone and it's miserable, but you know your misery. You deserve more than that.
No, I think
that's why they need people like you to hold their hand through it as well.
No, I mean, from my own experience of when I left my job, I remember an incident once. I was sitting on the train, and the train was moving, but it felt like the train was empty. I can't explain it except for the fact that because I was in a daze, I was so unhappy. And then I realized when I got off the train, oh crap, like I actually have to do something about this because I'm myself miserable.
Yeah.
And what happens is if you do that, the only person who will suffer is you. Nobody else is going to suffer. And that's why I feel it's quite important for me to help other people who are in that position, because a lot of people who don't say how they're really feeling, they're hiding it. They're doing it more for their family than for themselves. And there's a danger there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, it's what stops people a lot of the time is thinking that this is it. There are very few this is it moments in life, actually, ever. Apart from when you're giving vows to someone, or you're accepting a diploma, or getting on you're moving countries. They're like, oh, significant this is it moments. Everything's temporary. So if you move to a different situation from your current role, that's then going to take you somewhere else. Like it's all a bridge until you decide you know where you want to be, or you find yourself where you want to be. It doesn't have to be this or that. You can give yourself 6 months to figure it out, and give yourself a week to figure it out, give yourself years and years to figure it out, and you will do. But it doesn't have to be a this is it pivotal moment.
Yeah,
because that's a tight, restrictive space. If you're doing something significant as leaving your job, what kind of decision can you make in a space that big? It's tiny. I wouldn't make my lunch decision in time that space, right? A space that's small, It can't work like that. It's got to be an alternative way of looking at it, which is that it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, I think people get in that mindset though. They become very black and white, with that gap of this is it. This is the black, or this is the white. There isn't it in between.
Yeah,
because they're not willing to open their minds up to the possibilities, and there's that fear around change, fear around the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where they need help, because it's terrifying when you're there, but like what the anxiety feels like. You've got to use that as a prompt to take action.
No, I agree with you, and we're all going to go through challenges, and that leads me on to my next question for you. I mean, obviously you've had your business now for 2 years.
Yeah, coming up to that,
but what have been some of the challenges in your business and your life that you've had and that you've had to overcome, Lucy?
This is so easy. The highs and lows. This is when you kind of gave me a little bit of a clue about what you might be asking me, Soma, I saw this question and I just knew the hardest thing about this is the highs and lows, because your name's above the door. You're selling, in many ways, you're wanting to kind of sell your soul. You're selling a really, really personal service, and you're working really, really hard and not getting the clients. Or you can sometimes have a quiet period and then things will come out of nowhere. And it's almost, I think the emotional part of it is very difficult in terms of, having the odd breakdown. What feels like a breakdown. Even it's not all plain sailing, and I've been very honest with you about this. There have been times where in the last few months I've had like a snot bubbling crying fit because I've been so stressed out about something. Whether it's because that's another thing about when you're an entrepreneur, like you live between invoices, like you live between payments. It's like every Friday I'm like, oh great, I got this wage, or every last Friday I'm like, oh my salary's landed. There'll be times where I might have like a few grand waiting to land, but my rent's going out today, and it's like about those highs, lows, and being on top of that,
the priorities.
Yeah, exactly, and taking responsibility for that as well has been a learning curve. So I think the last couple of years, I would say the highs and lows are kind of a general hang up. And yet I see them coming now, and I know they'll pass, which doesn't make them any less brutal, and they do show up. But I think the way that I go through them as well is, I'm very spiritual. So I will go to prayer, pray for a miracle, and, use my spiritual practice to help me out of it. I'll also talk to people. Because I know that I don't have to be the hero, and people want to help me. So I think it's really important when that difficult period does come up, that we do talk to people, and we, you know, pull in our tribe of supporters and friends.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important as well. But I think a lot of the kind of main issues that come up, I think, with a lot of people when it comes to challenges, is that they don't always willingly admit what the challenges are. But it's from the challenges that people who inspire us that you learn, is what I think.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've got this kind of saying, which I kind of, whenever someone's having like a stop bubbly crying fit on me, or if I'm having it on someone else, I just kind of say, you know, babe, this will make one hell of an anecdote.
Yeah.
Like, I am a pretty happy-go-lucky person. I am like my golden retriever personified. I've got a waggy tail most of the time, and I've got a positive mindset, positive outlook. But it's not always that way, and I'm very open about being clear about that. You know, it can be a daily struggle sometimes when you have your dark period, but all in all, it is worth it. I think it's really important we do talk about those times too, because I'm not Donald Trump, or thank God, well, he's been in the news, but I'm not Alan Sugar or Richard Branson. I'm not some huge millionaire yet. And when I kind of get to whatever my version of success is, I want to be able to turn back and say, man, oh man, look at this that happened. This is what I did. Yeah. Here's my anecdotes. I don't want it on a plate. I'm here to do the work. I'm here to do everything it takes so that I can receive the gifts that life wants to give me.
Yeah,
and I'll take every knee scratch and bloody nose that comes with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important, to be honest, like that, and to make sure that you are always on a path that fits you, that you're not trying to be someone else.
Yeah, you got it. Totally.
So what would you say then? Obviously, you're my mentor, and you really helped me leaps and bounds in my business. But if somebody came to you, a new person, and they said, Lucy, I've started a new business, you know what, it's just not happening. I'm struggling with the marketing, I'm struggling with this. What do I actually do instead of just give up? Because they may come to you to say, you know what, I'm just going to check it all in and just go back to 9 to 5.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
I would, first of all, I would buy them a gin and tonic.
Yeah, probably need it.
I would drink a big one as well. And then I'd give them my best piece of advice, which would happen sober or after dinner, which is take a step back. And when people say, like, it's not working, it's like, okay, but what isn't working? Well, and the biggest thing we'd say is, are you clear on your message? And when I say by that, what I mean by that is, I would say, are you clear on your benefit?
Yeah.
Because too often, people talk about the features of what they do, whether they're selling child's push chairs, or they're offering a coaching service, or it's a holistic therapy, whether you can touch it or not. So many people talk about features when they need to be talking about benefits. What's the difference you're going to bring to someone's life? It doesn't have to be about what's unique. We live in a postmodern society. There's very little unique things around at the moment, or ever. Yeah. There will never be that's like, I'm not going to get into an esoteric discussion about that. But what makes you different? What makes you special? What is the most connecting, differentiating thing you can say about yourself? And I think if I can get that out of them, I can get them out the hole as well, because that's where your self-belief kicks in. You think, oh sheesh. Oh sheesh. You think, this is where I need to get clear. This is where I've been going wrong. Let's pivot on this now and go forward. Because there's the confidence that comes with just being able to very easily and consistently, intelligently and engagingly sum up what you do.
Yeah.
And anyone that talks about kind of the elevator pitch, which I always think is quite funny, because I've said this to you before, haven't I, Soma, in that if you're in an elevator in the UK, you'll be talking about the weather, you would not be talking about what you do. So you're never going to be in that all or nothing conversation.
Yeah.
Let's take the pressure off. You're going to have like 5 floors to do it. What we actually need to look at it is, okay, how do I sum it up in a way which people can get it easily? Yeah. That doesn't have to be like 20 words. You know, and I think getting people clear on summing what their difference is, they can consistently talk about it. The more you say it, the better it feels, the more you can attract the clients that you want, and, you know, really connect with the businesses you'll make a difference with as well. So if they were really struggling, I would say, okay, let's get clear on a couple of other things, have a gin and go for it.
Being like, it's what you said there, it makes a lot of sense, because, you know, being memorable, basically, like with you, you know, as soon as someone mentions your name, I mentioned your name to someone else the other day, and they go, oh, proof coaching.
Oh, brilliant. That's good.
It's about basically making sure that once they know your name, or even if they know your website, they then attach a name or a face or a brand to it, isn't it?
Completely. And that's where consistency comes in, because too often we're all smash, grab, try, right? Think about the work
We
we've
throw
done
everything at
together.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. Think about the work we've done together. It's been very structured, hasn't it? We've got clear on the fundamentals first, and then you've been able to do things like your speaking gig, writing for the HuffPost. Like once you've got clear on that, there's nothing you can't do. You've got an amazing designer working on a really cool new brand identity for you, because you know what you stand for.
Exactly.
And like you keep talking about it, you keep banging the drum, people will get it. It just might take a bit of time. But a confused mind always says no. If you keep changing your mind, they might just about to find out, oh, we're being diverted over here. And that doesn't do anyone any favours.
No, it doesn't. And I was reading an article today about how if we're given so much choice, we just get bombarded. If we have less choice, we're like, okay. It's like if you go to a supermarket. I think I remember Mel B from the Spice Girls. She was on Room 101. She said, "Why are there so many toothpastes?" For example, there's so that's a bit of a random example, but I think marketers and consumers, and because you have the branding knowledge, it's just they overconsume you sometimes, and you should make it simple, like what you said, and memorable, like Coke. When we think of Coke, the image I think is the Coca-Cola symbol. It's just there.
Completely. And there is a way for every business to have that with their ideal customer. You just got to say it in your way as well. Authenticity is absolutely key as well, because one of the things I can find when people is they're trying to copy other people's business or emulate their way of doing things or saying things. It's like, well, you're wearing someone else's shoes here, dude. No wonder you're not connecting with anyone. You're a fake.
Nobody's going to buy into that.
No, and it's also, people don't want that. They want you.
Yeah.
They want you. There wouldn't be so many individual businesses if that wasn't the case. Like, that's a universal truth. Your peeps need you.
Exactly. And it's like, not just what you said, but many of the other people I've spoken to, they're not buying the products and services necessarily, they're buying you.
Yeah.
So there was something about you which I was really drawn to. But other people might be drawn to something else.
Completely. And that's why, when we first started talking, before, you even chose me, when I sent through the proposal to you, I said, I'm going to leave this with you, because like, if you want to do it, you'll do it. But I'm not going to sell it to you. Like, I know this makes sense. I feel like we've got a good connection. If I'm the right mentor for you, let's go. I'm up for it as well. And I wasn't going to hard sell you it. And I'll only, like, if I'm, I'll have a taster session with a potential client, where that's one-on-one comparison coaching or for the brand mentoring. And I'll always put together a proposal specific to them afterwards. And I might check they got it, but I'm not going to jump on the phone with them or hound them afterwards, because it's not my vibe. Now, there'll be some other people that think that's criminal. That's fine, but this is how I do business.
Yeah.
This is how my business is growing so far. So I can't try someone else's method if it doesn't work for me, if I don't feel like I'm being authentic.
You have to be authentic, and it has to come from the heart. And I definitely saw that in you. But obviously, you've touched on the next question there. Obviously, I spoke to lots of different people, and there's so many different coaches out there. But what makes the Proof Coaching brand unique and different to all the other coaches out there?
Oh, that's a really good question. I suppose the comparison message is one that's really ownable. In the market, but with people connecting with it as well. I suppose, like, I'm unique, just like all the other coaches are unique as well. I've got my own vibe of coaching. I love it to be really interactive. I love to get a lot of FaceTiming with people. Like, Soma, you and I speak most weeks, don't we?
Exactly.
So I think that kind of one-on-one time and me being on call might be a differentiator, because I do a proposal for someone to say, I think we should work in this way, and it will often go off road, because I just want to show up for you in your dream and get you the results you want. So if that means I go to, like, a couple of mentoring clients, I go to meetings with them. I wouldn't normally do that, but I'm like, I'll be there. I can do that for you. So I'm super, super hands-on. That's in my mentoring. With the coaching, I follow best practice of coaching in that I very rarely give advice, but I'll always help people get to where they need to be by drawing on their own resources and getting them fit and strong. So it's a really good question, that, because I suppose I can only speak from my perspective and my experience and my testimonials that I've had, and the fact that my clients keep coming back to me. So I would say, ironically, and I suppose not being sarcastic either, like, I suppose I'm the only unique thing about it, because I don't know what other people are doing in their business. But that's because I suppose there's only one me, just like there's only one you.
Yeah, but there's only one of each of one of us, and who comes up with stuff. I'm obviously going to be the career happiness mentor. You're the comparison coach.
Exactly.
Have a different kind of attachment towards each business.
Absolutely. And I think as well, sometimes coaches feel like they can't find their own standout thing. I always say that, give me a couple of hours with you, I'll find you it. That is like my special skill. I will find you it, and it won't take a lot of work, but it'll be challenging, it'll be hard work, there'll be, it'll take graft, but I'll find you it.
I think you'd be able to do it with most people.
Oh, bless you. Thanks, darling.
So obviously, I remember you mentioned books a little while ago, and you've probably read a lot of books, and in your blog you write a lot about lots of different things. But if you had a quote that you wanted to share with everybody today, what would it be, and how has it helped you when you needed it?
So I don't know if this is like a quote or maybe like a prayer, and I hope that word prayer isn't scary for people. I just mean it's like an intention or like an affirmation. People that maybe don't identify with being spiritual is totally cool. But it's something that I think is really important, and it's not directly relating to comparison, ironically, but it's something that I kind of say all the time. But it's like, never think that I only have my own strength to rely on.
I really like that.
Sometimes I forget I have lots of different resources and things I can do. It's not just my own strength that I have to rely on. So some of that is kind of, meditating and spiritually handing it over. Sometimes it's calling someone and saying, I need your help. Whenever I'm in that state of feeling desperate, I just kind of say that to myself, or I'll read it somewhere, it'll come to me and think, I'm doing it again. I'm trying to carry everyone again. I'm doing it again. So I think that's really important. And I think that might even be from A Course in Miracles. And I've seen that interpreted somewhere, whether it was like Instagram or something. I'm really sorry, I can't remember the exact source of it, but that's been a really important affirmation, in that, like, I am supported. Like, the universe supports me. I am supported. I am supported. I am supported. Has been really powerful. Even when I've been in those, those meltdown moments, I've been like, I'm letting go. You've got there. You've got to take it all.
Well, we all have that, Lucy.
Oh, we do. We really do, darling. And I think, I think just that quote in terms of, never think that you only have your own strength to rely on, is really powerful and been a huge source of strength for me as well.
No, definitely. And obviously, you've spoken a lot about business and what you do, but what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, do I enjoy? Oh gosh, this sounds so cheesy. I love helping people. I absolutely love it. I would do this work for free. I absolutely love helping people. And I once had a message from someone who was I didn't know this, but before she was a client, she's now a friend, a really, really close friend. And I didn't know that before we started working together, she was about to go on antidepressants. And she sent me a picture of a letter. I feel a bit emotional, sorry. Sent me a picture from the doctor saying she wasn't going to go on them, and she felt like better than she ever had. And I know that I played a part in helping her find her own strength. And so helping people, like seeing people have a giggle, and you know what as well, like seeing people let it all out, like giving people the time and listening to them without distraction and without them being interrupted, holding space for people is really, really, is what gets me up in the morning. Like I said, I do this stuff for free. I do it if social media didn't even exist and I couldn't tell anyone about it. Like I was really born to do this, and that's why I've got to keep going as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see a lot of drive in you all the time, Lucy, and it inspires me.
Oh, wow, good, well, we're in this together, babe, aren't we?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think, like what you said, the kind of the pit bull reference, the friendly pit bull, I think that's one of the things I like, because there are so many people out there, coaches, people who are trying to inspire people. But I think more people need to be more humble and genuine and themselves. We don't want replicas.
No, exactly. And I say this a lot, like, you're nobody's tribute act.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to be like someone else. You won't pull it off.
No.
You can only pull off your own vibe, even if that seems on the surface to be quite similar. It's only if it's really truly you, people will see that, and they can't ignore it. They can't. And there are a lot of people out there saying, follow these processes, do this, do that, make this investment. And that's fine if it works for you, as long as you're being called in the right direction. You must, better yourself in any way that you feel like you can. But let's not be motivated by the need to change. Let's be motivated by the need to own who we are.
Yeah.
Actually.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. But I think more and more what's happening is that people are finding out more about not necessarily coaching, but inspiring each other. I mean, we've had lots of discussions about meditation and enlightenment and things like that. And, we're both kind of quite spiritual, I think.
Yeah.
But I think obviously it doesn't call to everyone, which is fine. But I think these sort of practices, they do help, especially when you run your own business and you do things. But I think for anybody out there right now who's watching today, if they do have a business, would you recommend a book to them that you think has really helped you throughout your business journey?
Yeah. So can I give two? Because one's really good for a business book is Eat the Big Fish, which is kind of a branding book on paper. Well, book on paper, of course, a book's on paper, unless you can. Sorry. But it's all about a challenger mentality in terms of how to be you and stand for something even when it's a busy market, and how to be successful. It's about challenger brands to Eat the Big Fish. The second one that I've found very, very powerful, especially when it comes to asking, being able to charge your value, etc. Is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. So that's been really, really important in terms of, because you and I talk about this, don't we? Next level growth all the time. That is like the big flag that we talk about all the time. Next level growth. And with all that growth come new challenges. And if you can get strong, you can take on all the different challenges and not have the same thing keep knocking you over, which does happen to us all so often. So I'd say Eat the Big Fish and also The Big Leap as well.
The Big Leap. Oh, okay. It sounds like two really, really great books. I might check them out.
Really, really good. They're really well written as well. You will fly through them because they will just speak to your soul. So good.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Lucy. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
I loved it.
And it was really, really a great opportunity for me to speak to you in a different sort of way.
Yeah, no, it's been fun you asking the questions this time.
Well, thank you, everybody who's been watching today. And I hope to see you again soon for another interview. Bye.
Bye.